What is going on? You guys are going drifting today. It's Saturday. We're heading to OSW. We got the 3000 all loaded up. We got the Suburban all loaded up, and we're getting ready to leave here. We got about a 2-hour drive to OSW, where it's the OSW After Dark event, and we're gonna hopefully have a good day with the car and lay down some good laps and all that jazz. And I'm excited to finally take you guys along to another drift event. guys, we're back home. Everything went good with the car at the event. Didn't get a ton of seat time. Just, I mean, my fault. I mean, well, it wasn't anyone's fault. It was the weather's fault. Just because, you know, rain comes. This car doesn't really like the rain. It was wheel hopping super bad for me in the rain. So I was kind of struggling with drifting in the rain. It was my first time, but you know, everything went good. No complaints. It's basically ready for the next event, which might be the Freedom Factory in October, but I know this week we're going to be going to Leadfoot City and hitting the burnout skid pad there and just do some donuts and put on a little bit of a show. So, quick, easy rundown of the drift event. Everything went great. All my cooling mods that I've done, the serpentine belt conversion with the new power steering pump, the new crank pulley, new belts, all that stuff worked great. I had no overheating issues with the car. I would do like a hard run when it was still dry out, and the temps would barely creep over 180, and it was 108 degrees out. So that's a win in my book, because I'm really not, I don't think, gonna drift in any situation where it's hotter than that. And as long as we're good on the cooling system there, that car is just pretty much good. I'm really not gonna do much to it between now and the Freedom Factory. Probably gonna give it an alignment, and that's about it. I mean, the 3000 performed great. I didn't get a ton of seat time because of the weather, and it is what it is. I did some drifting in the rain. It didn't work out so well. The car was wheel hopping really bad when I would lead the line in first, and I would try and lead the line in second, and the car would just like bog, and it wasn't having it. So it is what it is. The couple runs that I got when it was dry, I was happy with. You know, OSW puts on a good event. You know, it's organized, very organized. They stick to a schedule, so you always know what's going on, and I do really appreciate that. Now, with Frank, the CTS-V, I did a little test spray over here just to try the color that I'm going to do the engine bay, and it's just metallic silver, nothing crazy. But what I'm going to start doing on Frank is taking everything out of the engine bay. I got the engine harness out and disconnected from the chassis harness and the main fuse block right here. And basically I just need to get rid of all the AC lines here, the cooling expansion tank, that whole line routing from the heater core. All that's gonna go because all that stuff is getting deleted. And just the chassis harness wiring, you know, kind of unplug what I can unplug and get, you know, the other stuff just out of the way so that I can move forward with prepping and painting this engine bay. The engine bay is really clean, and I'm really happy about that. Basically, the dirtiest part of when you would pop the hood of this car is the engine itself and the front subframe. So I'm gonna pull the suspension, the shocks, and the brakes, basically the heaviest parts of the front subframe, get that on a dolly, bring it outside. We're gonna wash that down, wire wheel it off. I mean, there's no rust on it or anything, so that's a plus. It's not like the black car that has surface rust all over the place, which is crazy to me. That my street car is gonna be rustier than my drift car, but it is what it is. Get that on the dolly, get it outside, get it washed and degreased, and same with the T56 and the engine itself. So I'm probably gonna start with the T56 because I started using a little degreaser solution that I came up with, and the bell housing started cleaning up very well. So I'm gonna get that stuff on the little wooden dolly I have, bring it outside, get it washed and scrubbed and nice and clean, and I can start diving into that. The engine, that's gonna probably be next because I really wanna get into painting up all the brackets and things like that and regasketing it. So the engine is still just kind of chilling on the hoist and a block of wood, but I got the trans taken off, and the previous owner, Dylan, he was saying that he thinks this thing has still had the stock clutch. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, it sure does look it. Some of the fingers are bent on the pressure plate, but it's still a stock tool mass flywheel. So it's a stock configuration. And if this thing truly is the stock clutch, I mean, it has a bunch of surface rust on it and whatnot. If this thing truly is the stock clutch, and that is a testament to the fact that this was just a highway car, and that's why it has so many miles. And I mean, I've pulled, you know, the exhaust manifolds off, I pulled the valve covers, the valley cover, everything looks super clean. So this thing was definitely maintained, and I'm thinking it was just a big, like a highway car. Front subframe wise, I mean, everything is clean as well. Rust wise, it's just grimy. So you know, some time with the power washer and some degreaser, and this front subframe will come up great, and then we'll be able to paint it up nice and keep it protected and clean. And you know, engine bay wise, you know, it's all in good shape. I did a little test spray. This is the metallic silver I'm gonna be using. Just did a little test spray here, nothing crazy. And down here we got a little bit of just surface rust from, I guess, my guess is just battery corrosion. So we'll wire wheel all of that down the bare metal. We'll prime it, paint it, we'll be good to go. In here we just got some stuff to vacuum out. But these cars, compared to the 3000, these cars don't have a lot of engine bay that shows when the engine's in the car. You can't even see really the frame rails. The main parts that you can see are just the front of the wheel well and the shock towers on both sides. So back there you can't see anything, but we're gonna get it all painted up, get it all looking nice, because we want to do this car right the first time. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way this is all coming out. Okay, so I got rid of the heater core lines. I'll pull those rubber parts off eventually. But the lines that tee in with that come up to the water pump on the front of the motor. So we just cleared up a lot of space along the frame rail here. Those metal lines take up a lot of the little bit of space you have between the motor and the shock tower. So this hose right here that I cut goes into the bottom of the expansion tank, which I will be removing because up in here is going to be the new home of the power steering reservoir. I'm no longer going to be running a power steering reservoir on top of the engine like the factory bracket calls for, because it gets heat soaked a lot easier. So if I relocate it off the motor and tuck it back there, I should be in better shape. I think what I'm gonna do is end up having the new expansion tank over here where the battery used to be. I'm going to put the whole plastic tray back in here, and we're gonna mount the new expansion tank where the battery used to be, along with the positive cable coming up from the trunk. So that'll come up here to a power distribution block where the power feed down to the starter and the alternator, and then to the fuse box right here will be. So that'll be that. So from over here, I'll just have to go from the power steering cooler in front of the car, run a power steering line, probably up along here into the reservoir, and then from the reservoir down to the pump. Pop this guy out, it's 10 mil there. All right, now this guy will just lift right out. There is a coolant temp sensor, or a coolant level sensor at the bottom. So we'll unplug that. We might have to figure out a way, glove trick. We might have to figure out a way to trick this into thinking there's a high enough coolant level, because the expansion tank that I'm going to be running doesn't have the provision for that. Something simple as a roll of painter's tape and good to go. So now I'm gonna see something that I've never seen before on one of these cars. Down here in the abyss is the clutch master cylinder. Look at the positioning of this thing. Like, really? Come on, GM. But, I mean, this thing's still good. I'm gonna try and figure out if that's a replacement or not. If I can get the camera down next to it. Something tells me the clutch lines and stuff, the hydraulics on this car, there's no way that they're factory. But it's a clutch master. I may honestly just play it safe and replace it while I'm here. But I'm glad that it looks nice and clean down here. You know, obviously just dirt and coolant overflow. Good job, GM. But we got the master here, and then I'll be able to mount my power steering res down here. Look, like there's a lot of space in here that can be utilized. So power steering reservoir will definitely go down here, and yeah, it's looks good. Looks good all empty. So I'm just gonna hang the brake booster or brake master. Actually, I'm probably just gonna take this out of the car because I'm gonna have to take it out anyways to paint down here. So get this taken out and get it all kind of just buttoned up. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Peace out.